Hi, welcome back to my channel for all things crafty and creative. This fun and creative Halloween project is a perfect activity you can do with the kids or your grandkids. Get them involved and have fun creating your own custom-made Halloween decorations. I've made all of these molds from scratch and I've used epoxy resin and glow-in-the-dark powders, perfect for decorating your gate or the front door of your house at Halloween. I don't know about you, but I often can't find molds for certain themes, and in this case I looked everywhere for molds for Halloween and I just couldn't find any. But what I did find were these wooden cutouts from my arts and crafts store, and normally you'd paint these, but I thought that these would be the perfect shape and size for a garland, so I bought a selection of Halloween themed wooden cutouts and I've made my own silicone molds. Really easy to do, let me show you how. If your cutout shapes are made from acrylic plastic, well that's just perfect, no prep necessary. But when they're made from wood, I like to spray a layer or two of gloss varnish, and this just helps the final casting to be nice and smooth and prevent any silicone from seeping into the wood. So a great tip for perfectly shaped molds is to use double-sided tape. This really helps to prevent silicone rubber from seeping underneath the master shape, and if you do this you won't need to clean up any edges. But don't use hot glue because this raises the piece up and this will allow the silicone to leak underneath. To save on silicone, I'm using plasticine to create my mold housing. And it also doesn't need to be hot glued around the edges, so this is quite perfect for this use. You can also use some of my other methods that I've shown in previous tutorials, and I'll leave the links down below. For this I'm using silicone rubber from Let's Resin. It's a 1:1 ratio by weight, so equal amounts of A and B, and you mix it for 5 minutes. It's very similar to mixing resin. You scrape the sides and the bottom to incorporate the two parts so it's mixed well. Once mixed, I pour from a height in one spot, and this allows the bubbles to escape as it flows down. So make sure you make a nice amount of silicone rubber, enough to cover the top of the master shape so that the bottom of your mold isn't too thin and it doesn't tear. And unmolding is easy. I left this overnight, but it does cure in between 6 to 8 hours. Just remove the plasticine and save this for another time, and all I do is peel the mold off the piece, and if you use the double-sided tape, there's no cleanup to do. Now for pouring. Always level your table, and I'm using craft resin epoxy resin. It's a low viscosity casting resin, so it's perfect for this application. So to each of these cups I am adding some glow-in-the-dark mica powders, also from craft resin. I've been waiting for an excuse to test these out, and I thought this would be the perfect in the dark when trick-and-treaters knock on your door. Now, I'm not sure how much to add, so I'm trying a few methods out, starting off with brushing this orangey red glow mica on the base of the molds. And to this, I'm adding some orange mica powder in some resin, about a teaspoonful. And this method finally wasn't the best, and I figured out it's best to add a teaspoon of the glow straight into the resin and mix it in. Then simply pour into your custom made mold and let it cure overnight. In later castings I also added some holographic orange glitter, and I loved that one too, that gave a great effect. Now to make some glow in the dark 3D ghosts. I got this idea from Instagram and I was dying to try it out. So the easiest way to do this is to place some plastic wrap in a plate. This one is a disposable plate, and this will give you a nice round shape. Prepare some resin mixed with a teaspoon of the orange glow mica powder and pour straight onto the plastic wrap. Then add some stones around the edges. I had some black crushed glass on hand, so I'm using these, but you can use anything else that you like. Then you need to prepare a cup to drape the ghost over once it's set up a bit. I'm using a plastic cup, but you need to round the top off for the ghost's head. So either add some plasticine to the top or use some scrunched up kitchen paper covered with painter's tape and shape it to form a round form. So I've waited about maybe 4 hours before draping the resin ghosts over the cups. You want it to set up enough so it doesn't drip, but not too hard, because then it won't drape correctly over the cups. So I've made some pleats around the sides, and this gave a nice ghostly shape. Let this cure overnight so it's rock hard. So now let's get back to these scary pumpkins and unmold them. To clean up any sharp edges, I use this brayer tool I bought from Amazon and just lightly scrape off any sharp bits sticking out along the edges. I made a few of these in various colours, and I also used some of the green glow mica powder. So with this selection all done, this is the part you can get the kids or your grandkids involved in and create a garland of pumpkin heads. Now I'm also using some black gift ribbon and tying the tops of each of these to the garland. And in between the heads I've cut out some white paper cobwebs, and I've also made some black paper spiders, and I'm applying them with just a little bit of craft glue, or you could also use a glue gun. And for some glam, I'm just adding these sticky crystals to the top of each of these mouths. I really had no idea where I was going with this, but I really do love the final look. And to activate the glow in the dark effect, I'm charging them up with my UV lamp. Just a couple of minutes and they're ready to glow. And now let's get back to our 3D ghosts. All you have to do is peel off the plastic wrap from inside the ghost, and a plastic wrap won't stick to resin, so this comes off easily. Then for the fun part, using a permanent marker, let's draw on the faces, and obviously the kids would love this part too, so do get them involved. I'll be making a few more of these and I'll post the results on my Instagram page, so make sure you're also following me over there. And the one on the right is a larger version. I simply used a bigger plate, and you can also use square plates and that will give you a nice ghostly drape too, but I only had round ones around in my house, so that's what I've used, but you can use square. And the finishing touches to these is to add a battery charged tea light inside the ghosts, and this really does give it a cool effect in the dark. But please don't use a real candle because the flame will likely melt your resin ghost. So using the exact same methods as I've shown you before, you can make any shapes you like and make your own custom shaped mold. Get creative, get the kids involved and have fun creating. I hope you've been inspired, and I'm wishing you all happy Halloween and see you soon for some more creative fun. Bye!